It is May 19th. I'm still rocking the cranky senior voice, apparently, but it's good to see you, Chris. How are you?
Great to see you, Joe. It's day 2 on your back surgery, and it looks like you've moved around a little bit, maybe even changed clothes, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, that is a good sign for all involved.
Well, all right, buddy. And you didn't even take the day off because you were down at our Entrepreneur Academy last night. Is that correct?
Well, I was there virtually. Yeah, it was week 9 is my week that I usually present at the Entrepreneurial Academy, and didn't want to miss it. It's just such an important effort that the Greenhouse does. And so, I have a talk that I give on gravity, business gravity, and then a couple mindset things that seem to resonate well, and enjoyed delivering that. Seemed like a really sharp group, some great questions, a lot of energy, a lot of follow-up afterwards. So it's really, 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 you're planting a lot of seeds that are going to grow into strong trees in our community there.
Thank you. And you get high marks when they rank the speakers. So I know you knocked them dead again last night, but I do want to thank Molly Sudds for allowing us to do the Entrepreneur Academy. This is the last week of it. Next week, we actually graduate. So this will be the first time ever we've done a completely virtual Entrepreneur Academy, 10 weeks of training folks, like you said, planting those seeds. And I'm proud of our Greenhouse staff and Kim and Brittany and everybody who put it together, and Barry Foster. But thank you for being part of it. We continue to grow, continue to roll here in St. Pete safely and soundly. And in fact, let's talk a little bit about the safety today. It's the time where I bring up the numbers, if you don't mind. What you can see, Joe, again, is that this number now is that number that we had to keep under 4%. It's at 1.91. This is the second week in a row now. So we've seen it kind of level off on this effort. We have, again, seen this average. So these are the two numbers, this percent of weekly positive cases and this daily average new case. These are our gates. This gate has continued to go up. It went up again from yesterday. So while we should still say positive about, hey, the percent positive are tracking to continue to stay low, we're seeing still a pressure. What this indicates is pressure on our hospital system. There might be more people in the hospital. I put it in this graph just so you can see that same chart. So this is that same number, and you can see where we went back up. And we're still not where we were at our peak, but I put a little red line here. I'm starting to get a little nervous about this. This is rising, but it tells me that they're doing more testing as well. And here's how we know that. The final number I want to show you is just this number in the circle is what we should all be concerned about. It's the percent positive. And you can see just yesterday alone, there were 1,082 plus 16 tests done. You could see in the past where that hasn't been the case. We had a 1,700-day number. So when you test over 1,000 people and you get such a low percent positive, that indicates to us we don't have a big cluster right now. We feel like we've got it under control, and our hospitals feel like they can help us. So right now, Joe, I would tell us it's time to keep moving forward safely. I'm trying to tell people to wear the flocking mask. I hope people understand this. This is done in jest, but it's also a way to help build confidence with the consumer, Joe. What we're really trying to do is, while we're bringing this back, there's still 78% of our country, still 78% of our city that is concerned about their health. And how we as leaders in the business community can do that is just by making them comfortable. And if this is what makes them comfortable and brings them back into our places, then that's what we're going to be doing. So we're kind of telling people to wear the flocking mask, trying to have fun with it, and see what happens next.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate this unfortunately sometimes gets painted as it gets politicized. It gets painted as a personal freedom issue, and it's not. It's just meant to be an attempt for us to work together to limit what could be really damaging and has been incredibly damaging to our economy and our community.
The only way so we've talked about our 4 R's. We've talked about the relief efforts, and we've got people still getting money for the PPP program and the Fighting Chance. We've talked about the reopen efforts, which is how do we just create the rules and regulations to get to this recover effort, to really get back to the demand. It's about the consumer and the trust we build. So I really do believe that's why St. Pete is trying to really instill upon this safety issue, because we can't get back to recover until we get consumers back. But you know what? there are already people coming back, and we've actually even got some of our businesses jumping to the fourth R, which is reimagine, because some of those just can't open up. We've got a lot of folks that are trying to figure out their new business model. Let's talk more about the arts today. It's something we live in St. Pete quite a bit, and we're going to talk about how would you put on live shows going forward. And I can't think of anybody better to start that with than Stephanie from American Stage Theater. So there she
Stephanie,
is.
Welcome.
How are you?
Capital I in Reimagine.
Hey, Chris. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Good to see you. It looks like you're on the set of a kitchen. Is that correct?
Yes, we'll be announcing the title of this no, this is I'm at home like everybody else. I'm at home.
Good deal. And how's that been going for you? You guys you've been closed down since the beginning of this, so about 8 weeks now as well?
We pulled the plug on on an opening night, actually what was to be an opening night on March 13th. And kind of went home on March 13th, and that's where we have been.
Well, listen, before I jump too far, I know a lot of us know you, and you've been here in the St. Pete for a while, but just do me a favor and introduce yourself to the viewers so that everybody knows what you do and where you're from, and just what you do in our burg here today.
Thank you. Well, first, thank you for saying I've been here for a while, because I am a burger now, and you're the first person to say I've been here for a while, because I've been here for 5 years, a little over 5 years, and I'm the CEO and producing artistic director at American Stage, which is a 43-year-long professional live theater right here in St. Pete. We perform downtown St. Petersburg at St. Pete Downtown College campus, and we also do our annual American Stage in the Park production, as well as a really robust education outreach, community engagement programs that are for all ages throughout the school districts, and summer camp program. So I'm excited to be here to talk a little bit about our role in kind of the recovery part of all of what we're all dealing with as a community.
Yep. So thank you. And you're running more than one business model, and I want to talk a little bit about that, because those summer camps are really important to folks coming back to work, and it's going to be really hard for you to figure those out as well. So let's dive right into it. So it must be kind of spooky just going into your theater and there's just no life around. But so when you guys decided, okay, we're going to have to reimagine, just take us through how you thought about what kind of activity or programming you can do. Just walk us through your mindset.
Sure. Well, initially it was let's kind of, literally let's pause for a moment and understand the scope of this. And there was a lot of pressure right away to immediately start creating a new kind of content and new programming. And we did some of that. We did some light, we started creating what we called our version of PSAs, of just, our staff kind of doing short videos, tutorials to share skills and things, just to stay connected with the community. But I really wanted to take the opportunity to kind of really get a sense of how big of a landscape, how big of a runway are we really looking at in terms of recovering or going back to anything resembling normalcy, so that we could determine how much to invest in a new direction. I think that it's been becoming increasingly clear. In that first month, it became increasingly clear that we really needed to have a longer term strategy while also staying dynamic and being prepared to pivot back quickly if and when the time comes for us to do live programming again. So once we really kind of made that commitment to doing a different kind of programming, approaching things differently, we were able to secure the PPP loan, which is terrific to be able to hold on to our whole staff. And then really from there it was, okay, what are the things? Who are we to the community if we are not about bringing people into our space? Because frankly, that is the essence of what live theater is. We're not movies. We're not television. We're not live streaming even. That's not what our expertise is. So with those as our new platforms now, it became essential for us to think about how do we, one, stay connected to our community, and two, create a sense of connection community-wise. So, I think of American Stage as kind of being a community center. It's about more than entertainment. It's where people come together and connect and have these experiences that that promote empathy and dialogue, and it's central to the quality of life in the sense of us having a cohesive community. And so that's what we're looking at as we roll out our virtual programming, our virtual return, we're calling it. It will be digital, but it really will be focused on how to bring the love of this art form into people's homes, but doing it in a way that really makes people feel like they're a part of the American stage community and the greater community.
So let me pause you there, and that's because I just think that's what a lot of businesses really did, and that's what Joe and I have been urging businesses to sit there and start thinking about what you haven't had a chance to think about through the rush of the last 5 years. So and we've gotten quite feedback from a lot of our CEOs that it actually was a good thing to pause and have that exercise, and it seems to me like you now have a lot more clarity on your brand and like who you guys really are, and your team must have that as well, because we can all get caught up in this, fast and furious lifestyle we were living, and we just kept producing, and you just kept producing shows, and now what I heard from you is something totally different of who you really are. You're not a show producer. You're a place where people come to find normalcy and to understand each other in context of their existence here, right? That's what you guys really provide.
Absolutely. And that's at the core. I mean, as a nonprofit, we're very, in touch with that as our mission, and we have been. So I think that's an easy thing for us to wrap our brains around. But what the exciting opportunity is here is to when you kind of strip away your mechanisms, when you no longer have the tools that you've been using for a very long time, it does force you to really focus on what is essential. So even if that was in there and you knew that, the focus on the essential is something that can, I think, really generate innovation and a deeper sense of reward in the work that you're doing.
Awesome. So tell me, so now you've come through that part, you've thought through it. What are some of the examples of what you all feel like you can produce in the next 90 days for us? So
we have our virtual stage, which will be, we're calling kind of a little mini season over June, July, and August. We're calling it our summer shorts. And it's all digital storytelling that will be kind of abbreviated versions of different kinds of entertainment. So in June, we're doing our Shakespeare Light Festival. And each Sunday in June, we'll be presenting an abbreviated production performance of a different Shakespeare play. There'll be about a 5-minute kind of precursor to anyone who's not familiar with Shakespeare on kind of the main elements of the story and the plot and the characters. And then we'll have professional actors via Zoom in some really creative with some really creative techniques to make it really interesting and fun to see these professional actors performing Shakespeare via Zoom. And so we'll do that each week in June. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Wait, let me follow up on that, because so you're not using your studio. I mean, you're not using your center. You're using everybody's homes, just like we are today. How are your actors absorbing that kind of challenge?
It's everybody in theater loves live theater, being in a space together. So there's no question that there's this initial this kind of what this is counterintuitive. But there's also, I think, just a natural tendency in this, in our industry to say, yes, okay, let's figure it out. This is what, how can we make this really interesting and exciting for people? So, when you think about, we'll have cast of 8 to 9 all in their different homes. And what are the fun little things that we can do that, an actor you see an actor with a prop, hand it to another actor, then you see another actor on the screen pick that prop up. Things that are kind of allowing us to be playful and acknowledging that this is how, we're showing how we're telling the story. And that's kind of what theater can do really well too. So I think people are excited about it. I'm anxious to get back to, being together in a rehearsal room and all that, but excited about having something creative to focus on right now.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, there could be the next greatest Zoom actor that we just didn't even know about because we never tested their Zoom skills. So
absolutely, and a lot of this stuff we'll have the opportunity to reach audiences that we've never reached before too. So in July we'll be doing our new shorts, which is brand new plays that were submitted to us by some known playwrights from around the country that are just these short 10-minute plays. So they're full stories, but they're told in 10 minutes. And so those will be performed in July. And then in August, we're doing something called the Living Room Plays. And those will be shot actually on our set. So we're expecting to be able to be back in space and do video shoots of scenes from the kind of best place from throughout American Stage's 43-year history. And we look forward to that being kind of a ramp up to announcing, our next full season back in the space. And then quickly, we also have our virtual academy, which is our education outreach programs kind of reinvented to be able to deliver really dynamic and fun education experiences for young people, K through 12, but also for families. So a lot of families, stuck at home right now and finding some creative things to do together. And also, aside from the being stuck at home, because that's starting to loosen up a little bit, right? But I think too that one of the things that's really cool about what's happened during this time is families, because they've had all this time together, we're hearing, a lot of people are saying, this is actually really great. It's requiring us to kind of get to know each other and be more kind of inventive in how we're spending our time. So we've got some great things that we're going to introduce for families to be able to use together in their house to be playful and creative and get closer connected as a family.
I mean, that's a great example of innovating, but also, like you just said, stimulating demand for the future of your brand as well, right? I mean, exactly. So you're trying to, like you said, people were limited by afraid to go in your doors because they don't know what to expect, and now everybody can try these things and start to really understand what you're offering as well. So I think that's part of that whole, reimagining ourselves is you're doing it in this recovery stage by stimulating demand again. And I think that's exactly what businesses are trying to do is throw some stuff up there to see if you can get people to come back to you or even more people come back to you. And
absolutely.
I see that. So you've got a lot of those kind of programs, but I really want to get into this. Are you going to be able to offer summer camps or are they going to be online? Like, how are you? There's so many things to consider about that. So it seems like it will be all virtual for you guys.
So we definitely are doing 8 weeks of virtual summer camp. That's we've created an entirely new kinds of curriculum because looking at what we can really deliver successfully virtually. We did a beta of one of these classes and it was went over very well. So we'll definitely do that this summer for 8 weeks, and then we have as kind of a tentative, if it's possible, still the second half of the summer, looking at going, also adding live on site. Admiral Farragut is where we do our live summer camp program. So that's a wait and see. We're, aspirationally, we'd like to be able to do both, but we will only do that if it's, safe to do so. Yeah.
All right. And so what else? I mean, you've got even something else. You've got more programming than that. You're doing your own show. Give me some more stuff.
Yeah. So I haven't announced my guest lineup yet, but somebody close to this group maybe joining me. I'm just doing some conversations. We're going to start this in June, Monday nights, just a 30-minute drop-in conversations on Zoom with me, and I'll have a guest with me, and talking about the arts in our city and kind of where we're at now and where we're going. And part of it is about wanting to be as transparent as possible and really make the evolution of not just American Stage, but of kind of the way that arts are integrated into the business of our community, because they are. We know that, but let's talk about what that means, what that looks like. The arts will be have a longer road to recover than other industries, performing arts in particular, because of by the virtue of the proximity, that's required in our experiences. So let's talk about that stuff and really talk about it from, with as much kind of eye toward innovation and opportunity as possible, but really also sharing with people the realistic challenges. So I'm looking forward to getting some other perspectives and coming and joining those conversations with me.
Well, I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, because I mean, I'm a fan of live music, and a lot of the artists are putting on their concert, replaying their concerts from different nights. And while it's not the same thing, it certainly reminds you of how good it feels to be with other people and enjoy the same kind of experience. And you can get goosebumps by just placing you in that feeling. And I know that's what you're going to do for folks. Remind them how good it feels to be in American Stage or at the park at American Stage. You're going to do that with what you're doing, and that's super important. Let me ask you one last question about this. You've been here 5 years. You came from California. I've been asking people about just the notion of the St. Pete way compared to where they're from or where their families or friends might be. Would you rather be in St. Pete or California right now based on this? Just give me a sense of what your friends in California are saying or doing, and are they thinking you're crazy? Like, help me understand the different coast mentality.
Well, both coasts think the other coast is crazy, so that's fun to be to play into that on both sides. I mean, St. Pete has become my home, and there is, and you two are just amazing examples of kind of leading the charge and what it really is to be not just really proud of your community, but to really constantly be looking for ways to define what it is to be a community and articulate that. And that leads to a level of collaboration and energy and opportunity that I find to be unmatched. And I'm also still a California gal because my family is out there, my friends are out there, so I'm rooting for them big time. The company that I founded, I'm still involved in their long-term recovery and all of that. So my heart is in both places, but I am so fortunate to be in a community that I have no doubt will set a national example of how to recover from this pandemic.
That's beautiful. Well, you have two friends on this call that are glad you're here. We look forward to everything you're doing. We so appreciate how you've just rejuvenated that brand for our community, and it's going to continue to grow. So hang in there. We appreciate it. We're going to watch closely. And if you have any other announcements, please send them our way because we're trying to make sure that everybody understands your story. So we thank you today.
Appreciate that. Thank you for giving me the chance. And thank you both for what you do. Take care.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Thank you, Stephanie.